So where is the Philippines in its digitalization efforts 2 years into PBBM's administration? With us now for more, a Filipino tech leader who founded a local IT company in 2015 and now helms up the government's e-governance strategy. Please welcome Department of Information and Communications Technology Undersecretary David Lopez Almirol Jr. Yusek Dave, good to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kathy, for having me.
And congratulations, it's year 2 of your government service. You made that jump. I remember it correctly. I think it was a day in August 2022.
Yes, August 4. Maybe not congratulations, Kathy. Maybe good luck.
Did you get a lot of good luck since? I mean, it's been 2 years on. I mean, how has it gone so far for you, having come from the private sector?
Well, it's a big shift, coming from the private. Mahirap. But I think 2 words, fulfilling and challenging at the same time.
Saan ba mahirap? Because ang mandato mo to provide services online and really, have that opportunity to make everything inclusive. Kung sino man yung naiwan sa laylayan, ito na yung pagkakataon na kumpunin sila lahat, di ba? On one platform.
Kasi innovation or digitalization is a huge, broad word, but actually solves a lot of problems. No? Mahahabang pila, di ba? Napakakomplikadong mga proseso, di ba? Kailangan pang mag-absent sa trabaho para lang sa mga government services. Ito yung mga nakikita natin na digitalization is actually a solution. So it's a solution that could also curb a lot of red tape and corruption. So imagine that that massive responsibility that we have to launch these solutions to somehow point those problems into a solution. Yeah.
And you're nearly 2 years in doon sa solution na yun, yung eGov Super App na tilang talagang nagpabago sa aking travel habits. Yeah. Hindi ko na kailangan pumirma sa isang papel para ibigay sa immigration officer. Meron ng online departure form na ina-access natin through the app. Dito ko nakilala ang eGov app.
Yeah. Actually, the biggest innovation that we're able to launch, Kathy, is the eGov data exchange platform. Okay? Kaya pinanganak ang e-travel, pinanganak ang eGov app, pinanganak ang eLGU, eHealth, and other e-solutions. Because the DICT was able to launch a nice and secure data exchange platform. So, technically, ito yung solution na kahit nakalat-kalat yung mga sistema ng gobyerno, pwede nang mag-usap-usap ngayon without them direct sharing of information or data.
Unahin muna natin yung travel because doon ko siya nakilala yung app, yung Super App. How's the take-up coming along? Are a lot of people using it? And are they knowledgeable that they do have to fill out the form online before they travel? Kundi, mababara sila sa immigration, di ba?
Yeah. So, dati, right now we have around 35 million served passengers already using the e-travel. That's 35 million. Dati, imagine that you need to fill up a lot of forms. You have the arrival card, you have to fill it up manually. The departure card, you have to fill up again, and then you have to fill up a customs form, and then you need to go to a website for you to declare your health condition. Then you have to fill up another seaport form, local airport form, OFW authentication, then tourism data. And dati minamanual lahat yan. Imagine all of those manual documents, kinakailangan i-encode yan manually para magkaroon ng reporting. But now we're able to combine that in a very simplified system. At siya nang bahalang mag-generate ng information at data papuntang tourism, transportation, immigration, health, DMW, and so on and so forth. So it's a one-stop shop system.
So yung 35 million na yon nakalap in 2 years.
Yes.
That's the number. Do you have a target as to the next milestone for that?
I remember we launched it December of 2022. So that's 1.5 years.
And in 1.5 years, because I've been traveling in and out, parang dumami yung mga tao sa immigration, mas sumaba pa yung pila. So medyo, okay, I see the opportunity to put on one platform all the services that I can avail. Pero doon sa point of, meeting the immigration officer, may pila pa rin eh.
Mhm.
Where can we feel the difference? Na talagang wala ng pila because the super app has helped remove that.
I think, well, it's not me. I cannot speak in behalf of the immigration, but I think they need to add more people, di ba? The e-travel nga automated already the encoding eh. Dati, if you fall in line and then once they scan your passport, they have to manually encode which airline you use, which airport you came. Manual yon. But now using the e-travel, it will automatically fill up all of those So imagine the time and motion relevance of the kaya lang siguro especially during holidays, mga bakasyon minsan dumadagsa talaga din yung mga pasahero din. So dapat pag dumadagta yung mga pasahero, dapat dumadami din dapat yung mga immigration officer. I think it's all about the time and motion study that they need to adapt also.
So, napapag-usapan nga, no, kapag nag-automate ka, mas kumukonti ang tao. Kasi yung manual work, kinukuha na ng computer, ng internet. Pero mukhang hindi. Mas mangangailangan pa tayo ng mas maraming tao.
I don't think that's the reason. Kasi when I travel naman, madami ding akong kakilala na nagulat sila na bakit tuloy-tuloy na lang. Dati, they have to be in the airport, they have to look for the paper, they have to look for a ball pen, they go in a corner for them to sign. Sa ngayon, wala naman nagbago eh. Ang nagbago lang dito, tinanggal lang natin yung manual. In fact, the e-travel can be used 72 hours before the travel. And you don't need to show any more QR code. Kasi once you go to the immigration officer, once they scan your passport, everything will be automatically filled up in the system.
That's true. And on the way back, yun nga yung maganda, no? Wala nang officer. Because once you have it, it's there. Pero may stopover ka pang gagawin dun sa turnstile na kailangan mong ilagay yung boarding pass mo, kailangan
The
ilagay
e-gate.
yung e-gate.
Yeah.
So where does that bridge, the super app and the e-gate, kasi meron din prefix na e eh. So you would suppose that that's part of the whole ecosystem of e-governance.
No, the e-gate is not a project of the ICT. I believe that there's a huge project of immigration that they'll be enhancing the e-gate system in the future. But of course, in terms of integrating that to a more efficient data gathering, the ICT can assist on the integration. But I do hope and I do believe that they are planning to innovate also their e-gate system.
Ayun nga, may kanya-kanya tayo. We're at that point where we're trying to find our own spaces in the digitalization because this is the goal, na para everything is inclusive, nasa isang plataforma. Yeah. When do we get to a point where everything is as seamless? Because right now, it's all bits and parts, Of course, they say, huwag ka na mag-fill out na form. Pero iba naman sa ibang ahensya, hindi pa siya yung uniform. Kumbaga, yung experience mo, iba't iba.
Oo, kasi the ICT cannot do everything eh. What we do, we entice government agencies to digitalize on their own. So example, immigration, they have their own ways to digitalize their own. Tourism, they're also doing their own thing. Diba? DMW, they're also doing their own thing. Transportation, and then what we do is we do the integration. So the idea is instead of us using a lot of siloed system, imagine if you go to a certain agency, you have to fill up again and again the same information all the time, submit documents, the same documents. Using the eGov platform, once na pinasok mo yung isang dato mo, dapat minsan na. For example, for the e-travel, once mong ginamit, the next time around, ang ilalagay mo na lang, yung travel details mo na lang. You don't need anymore to repeat again entering your first name, your address, yung middle name, and so on and so forth. So, there are a lot of birth pains, Cathy. Nakikita ko talaga that, but we cannot stop. We cannot, if we halt what we do now, mahuhulit talaga tayo. But as people embrace digitalization, gradually masasanay na yan in the future.
Yung exchange, balikan lang natin yon because that brings us home to your role as an integrator. Ilan na nga ba ang nakilahok doon sa exchange and what kind of services are there kapag nasa eGov PH app tayo?
medyo overwhelming. Ang dami nang gusto mag-partner. Kaya medyo kami nga din yung parang humihindi. Kasi right now, we have 75 national government systems integrated now in the eGov app.
Right now. So,
Yeah.
pag click natin doon, pwede ka nang kumuha ng iyong PhilHealth.
Pagka-click mo doon, national ID mo nandun na. So, wag mo nang antayin yung plastic card. You can use your phone as your national ID. Para tayong Singapore, para
Yun yung
tayong
digital
sa South,
national ID.
yeah,
Okay.
para na tayong South Korea and Singapore. Number 2, pag nag-click ka ng PhilHealth mo, you can see your benefits, contributions mo, claims mo, benefits mo, konsulta pa, nandun na rin. Sa GSIS, pag nag-click ka, kita mo na yung loans mo, yung benefits mo, premiums mo, kita mo na rin yung pension mo, and so on and so forth. If you click PRC, you can apply for your PRC services without even falling line anymore to PRC. You can even see your PRC ID. If you click national government, nandun na yung mga links ng mga sangkatutak na government agency. Diba? Nandun na yung if you wanna apply for your passport, for your driver's license. Sa ngayon, link lang siya para hindi mo na kinakailangan pang pumunta pa sa napakaraming website na kalat-kalat. Yeah.
Pero simulan muna natin dun sa digital national ID. Before we came to these seats for the interview, I showed you, no, that I had the super app and I'd been trying to click into my digital national ID doon sa profile page.
Yeah.
Pero ayaw. Nakasulat, the connection is, not
PSA,
working. And then may isa pa, verification error. So, tinry ko siya over the last 3 days because I know I'd be talking to you and I wanted to make sure na seamless. Because si Nads, our producer, okay naman sa kanya, nagwo-work. Pero bakit sa akin hindi? So, parang yung experience, again, is not consistent.
Yeah.
Kung may iba kang tanongin, baka okay naman. Pero para sa akin, hindi ko ma-access.
Yeah. Right now, mayroong 87 million na nag-register na sa PSA. So the national ID, hindi kami yung nangangalaga niyan, is the PSA. Diba?
Philippine Statistics Authority.
Yes. So they have 85 million na nakapag-generate ng PCN number. So they're conducting a certain clean-up, data cleansing. Okay, so may mga, I think mga around mga 2 to 3 million na hindi pa nila natatapos yung data cleansing. Maybe you are one of them.
Oh,
no?
okay.
But the PSA, they're doing their best to finish also the data cleansing. Si DICT naman, kung ano yung malinis na data, yun lang ang kaya naming gawan ng digital ID. So we are also dependent to their data kasi we don't do the data management. It's them who's doing the data management.
Pero ang laking bagay nun kasi nga, sa mga hindi pa nakakakuha ng kanilang printed national ID, pwede nang gamitin yung
Yes.
digital national ID. Pero sa akin, sa pulsa pareho kasi wala pa akong physical national. Tsaka yung digital hindi ko ma-access. So may mga ganong kaso.
Yes, may mga medyo madami. Imagine 2 to 3 million, di ba? That we need. But I believe that the PSA, they're really doing their best to finish this data cleansing na ginagawa nila.
Meron bang timeline as to when you are the integrator, but given that they are liaising with you, ano yung parang deliverable ninyo para ma-achieve yung kailangan nila sa pag-data cleanse?
Sa amin kasi is more on the digital national ID. No? So, basta malinis na yung data mo, you can immediately download the app, then you can now see your digital ID. But in terms of timeline, how they can cleanse that, I think I'm not in the position to answer the question because I don't know how they're doing the data cleansing. But I believe that PSA, I see that they're very proactive in really making this solidified platform.
It's also important because we need to know kung nakanino yung datos, yung data.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact na hindi nyo alam kung ano yung kine-cleanse, talagang wala sa inyo yung datos.
Yes.
Could you take us through that whole process? You mentioned the exchange, you're an integrator. Paano nga ba? How do we give the assurance that the data is not with you, but with the originator?
Yes. So the e-government platforms is actually a so-called once-only policy. So meaning, para makatipid ng storage, whoever gathered the data, whoever owned the data, should stay with them. So example, for PSA, they should manage that. It's the responsibility to manage that, cybersecurity, maintenance, and so on and so forth. The same for PhilHealth, they do their own thing as well. GSIS, ganun din. So what we do is we just fix the integration layer. Example, if you open the eGov app, now you can see your PSA, but the data is not with the ICT, it's with PSA. if you click PhilHealth, you will go to PhilHealth system. The data is not with the ICT, it's with PhilHealth. It's called the decentralized way of doing things. You distribute also the risk to them because hindi din pwede na the ICT nangangalaga lahat ng datos natin if something happened, di ba? It's also good that we decentralize it, allow agencies to innovate, allow agencies to maintain their own data, but the ICT, our job is to do the interoperability so that a certain Filipino, they don't need to go over thousands of websites and dozens of mobile apps that they need to encode again their data and so on and so forth. So this will simplify the process. So if I may elaborate the e-government initiatives or platforms, it's actually a simplification initiative.
But doesn't it also simplify the work for the would-be malicious actor? Kumbaga yung hacker, fraudster. Kasi nga, in as many months, we have received reports, government agencies, and including the ICT, have been victimized in one form or another of hacking. How do we assure people, the consumers, that our data is safe, whether it be with the originator or outside of it?
Again, since the agencies are the one taking good care of their own data, it's the responsibility to protect their data. So, meaning, if they go to PhilHealth, it's PhilHealth data. So, PhilHealth should be the one to take good care of its own data. Same thing with PSA. They should be the one to protect their own respective data. So, the DICT, consider like a highway. We don't own the cars, right? The drivers, they have their own way of driving their own cars. But for them to go from point A to point B, we provide the highway. But we don't own the cars. So, the ICT is basically building a rotonda so that there will be no spaghetti, skinitas, kasi dati, imagine mo, siloed yan. The systems are so much siloed. But now, since we have the e-government platform, it will be easier for them now to process. At the same time, the data should stay with them. So in terms of cybersecurity, this is more, if I may say, solidified in terms of cybersecurity kasi hindi siya iisa. Mahack mo si e-gov, anong mahahack mo doon? The registrants? Kasi kailangan mo i-hack din si PhilHealth, i-hack mo si PSA ulit, i-hack mo na naman si GSIS for you to go with your own data because the data is not with e-gov.
Now, egov.ph app, as I understand, is AI-enabled. Enabled siya ng artificial intelligence.
There are 3 AIs powering the eGov Super App. The first AI is the one that's actually verifies you linking to the national ID. That's why we have the liveness check, we have the identity verification powered by the Know Your Customer approach. And another one, we have the generative AI. Actually, if you open the eGov app and click eGov Chat AI, it's like a search engine. You can create your speech, you can create your itinerary wherever you are. It's like it's a combination of both OpenAI and Gemini in one platform. Okay. We have also another AI. It's called the computer vision AI, where you take picture and then the AI will interpret what's in the picture. So it can also identify all the items. And the one that we're trying to finish before the end of the year is the behavioral analysis AI. So meaning, the system will analyze your activity in the super app. Let's say, wala kang trabaho. So jobs will pop up, okay, for job matching. Let's say you are a foreigner. Dapat foreigner services lang magpakita doon. Yeah. Let's say you're a government employee. Dapat GSIS nandoon. Diba? So that you don't need to see a lot of things there that you don't even need. So it analyzes your interests and so on and so forth. So these are the things that we're trying to embed in the e-government platforms that we have.
Where we now bring the topic of ethics, perhaps. Na-mention yun ni President sa kanyang latest State of the Nation address. Ang sabi niya, building essential infrastructure and linkages to support ethical development of artificial intelligence systems. Napag-usapan na yung ethics dahil napakarami ding negatives, no? Apart from all the positives that you mentioned, what is the DICT doing on that front? While you're developing AI into your app, you're also considering the ethical development of such.
Yeah, I think the machine learning AI is the one that's quite, it needs to be regulated. because it mimics human, okay, and it might, affect livelihood and so on and so forth in the future. But the one that we're using or utilizing are the solution AIs, that it caters a certain problem in a way na mapapadali. So example, for the identity verification AI, deepfake, ang daming mga deepfake ngayon, but the AI should be able to identify na hindi nga yun totoong tao. Diba? So it protects the citizen. So the AI that protects the citizen, number one. Number two, the generative AI is a very powerful tool for you to simplify your research. Let's say if you want to create your speech or you want to see ano yung magandang lugar yung pupuntahan ko, ano bang masarap na kakainan, ano bang tourism spot na pupuntahan ko. Diba? If you search Google, you can have that, but you need to spend time looking for it. But the AI will summarize everything in just a single question. Yeah. Another one is the computer vision AI, which is basically, it's just taking picture of a certain document, okay, or a certain image, then AI will interpret kung ano yung nandun, both document or image. Siguro ang isang kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin later on is yung tinatawag na, on the behavioral AI, on the machine learning AI. Yun ang medyo kailangang bigyan ng pansin. The word AI kasi is too broad kasi, Cathy, eh. There are types of AI. We need to segregate that by types. Diba? There are AIs na walang risk kasi they are really a solution tools for IT people like us. Okay? But there are AIs na mukhang may mga tatamaan na kailangang i-regulate. Yun ang medyo worry natin.
And that also would encompass the app itself. The use of the app would have something machine learning in it. Kaya kailangan na regulation.
Correct.
Are you proposing any policies then? Or maybe even recommending any policies to the lawmakers to regulate
Of course.
AI?
I think the eGov app, wala muna siyang machine learning ngayon. Meron siyang behavioral AI to help people kung anong kailangan. Pero wala siyang machine learning. Normally, yung AI na medyo kailangan bantayan is ito yung mga robotics na. Ito yung mga robotics AI, no? So ito yung mga tinuturuan mo na baka in the future, they go against us. Yan yung mga medyo pinipredict nila na kailangan i-regulate. But sa ngayon, we don't use any invasive AI technology for the moment, Cathy.
Balikan natin yung digital national ID. Kasi sa ngayon, proud tayo, meron tayo, no? Digital ID. Pero ano pa yung gamit nun? Kasi di ba yung parang goal natin, magamit natin yan for other services.
Yeah.
To make things easier for us, to conduct maybe a government requirement, or go about our business. When do we get there? Sa ngayon kasi, I'm so proud to have one, but that's it. It stops just right there. Maybe in its early days.
Well, PSA, they are able to distribute around 50 million IDs, but napaka-convenient kasi wala kang dalang IDs eh. Sa ibang bansa, the like of South Korea and Singapore, their IDs basically their phone. Diba? Imagine in the Philippines, we have around more than 40 IDs in the Philippines. Hindi kasya sa wallet yan, Cathy. 40 IDs. And maganda rito sa national ID natin, talagang na-verify na. Nagkaroon ng biometrics, nagkaroon ng iris, fingerprinting. So, yung ibang mga agencies, they're having issue na rin na they have doubts na ito kayo nag-register sa akin na Juan de la Cruz, talaga bang siya yun? Baka someone is just trying to use their identity. Diba? Kaya nagkaroon ng mga issue, diba? Not to mention yung mga naging problema natin sa mga identity verification natin, even in the political scale, diba? And this is actually a problem-solving solution. Example, for DSWD example. Wala kang ID, pero alam mo nag-register ka. Dahil wala kang cellphone din, kasi wala ka ding internet, kasi let's say, mahirap kasi kailangan mo ng amelioration. So, our digital national ID, you can present just yourself. Example, I go to DSWD, ako po si Juan de la Cruz, and then I do the fingerprinting or face recognition. Alam ni DSWD, oo nga, ikaw nga si Juan de la Cruz, now I can give you your social amelioration. It's called the contactless or the just show yourself technology. Halimbawa, you open a bank account. Website yung pupuntahan mo. Diba? You don't need to physically go to the bank and apply for an account or a loan or something. But nasa bahay ka lang and using your digital national ID, pag nilagay mo yung first name, last name, middle name mo, plus the liveness check, you can open account without even going to to the bank or to the government agency. In the future, while you're having your coffee, You can apply for whatever government transactions or government documents without even falling in line anymore to government agencies.
Pero kung may connectivity ka, na-mention mo yun kanina, no? Una, mobile phone. Okay, aminadong may at least one mobile phone ang nasa Pinoy, pero walang connectivity. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, 30% of our population still needs to be connected. So how do we get that service to them if they're not connected to the grid?
That's why DICT is also doing its best under USEC Jeff. So that's not under me. But they deployed around 13,000 free Wi-Fis already. No? Mahirap kasi mga far-flung areas to eh. Imagine, mga islands to. Take note, Kati, we have 7,000 islands. No? Hindi din mahirap. No? But the DICT is really planning to put up more free Wi-Fis down to the far-flung areas. Ito yung tinatawag ng mga GIDA sites. Ito yung mga geographic isolated areas.
And disadvantaged areas.
Yes. So, as we digitalize, kung 70% yung meron ng connectivity, sila na yung makikinabang ng ating digitalization. Then gradually, we need to provide connectivity also sa mga wala.
Well, you got your wish because the budget department has already granted and released 3.68 billion pesos for that very project na free Wi-Fi program na napaka-importante. What would that mean for the pace at which you're deploying the super app?
I don't have the areas where to put those free Wi-Fi because that's under USEC Jeff. But this will really amplify our digitalization efforts. Imagine, kapag nalagyan ng mga connectivity to nationwide, hindi lang naman to pang Facebook or pang TikTok ito, Kati, pang government services ito. So the free Wi-Fi project, kapag mangyari ito, ma-implement ng maayos ito, grabe yung yung effect sa tao that it will simplify a lot of government transactions and services.
Pero sa ngayon may impact na, no? Because na-roll out na yun eh. So what we're seeing right now are the fruits of the free Wi-Fi program.
Yes.
What other projects would benefit and hasten the deployment of the app?
Right now, example, we are now integrating Pag-ibig, SSS, and then we are implementing more than 100 local government units. So before the end of the year, if we're able to accomplish around 900 LGUs, plus another 10 national government agencies, imagine, we don't need to fall in line anymore to these respective agencies. You know? Nasa bahay ka na lang, nandyan na yung government services. Diba? I think the priority of digitalization is kapag sinabing government services, dapat madali. Pag sinabi mong government services, dapat hindi ka na pumipila. Pag government services, wag ka mag-absent ng trabaho para lang pumunta ka lang dun sa ahensya. I think if this will continue, pag tuloy-tuloy yung pag-integrate ng mga government agencies sa ating eGov platform, pagkasama ang ating mga local government. In fact, sa ating government, sa eGov natin, pwede ka na rin mag-build ng resume mo for job matching later on for DOLE. Trabaho nila yan, hindi sa amin. May tourism na rin yan. Habang nag-i-innovate sa tourism, mag-i-integrate na rin. Diba? Agriculture, habang nag-i-innovate sa agriculture, mag-i-integrate na rin siya. Diba? Commerce for DTI. And other government agencies, so that a certain Filipino, pag inopen niya yung kanyang eGov super app, alam niya na nandito yung mga government services. Hindi man buo, we're not saying that we're perfect, Kati. I'm telling you that there's a lot of challenges that we're facing right now. But technology comes with birth pains eh. Pero pag naranasan mo na once yung ganda ng digitalization, you will never go back to manual.
What would that mean for jobs though? Kung lahat i-automate natin, paano na yung mga taong pumapasok nga, no? May pangangailangan pa ba? And if wala na, do we have an upskilling, reskilling, retraining program that we're doing as we're digitalizing?
Oh yes. In fact, if we're able to create digital jobs, okay, imagine mo if you compare yung mga typical jobs and digital jobs, times 5 to times 10 ang sweldo niyan, Kati. Mafo-force ngayon ang ating young age kasi we're a young nation eh. Our average around 24 years old eh, ang average natin. Yung typical na trabaho na mababa ang sweldo. Pero kapag naging digitalized country tayo, mafo-force ngayon ng ating henerasyon na pumunta sa mga digital courses, di ba? Ito yung mga technology-enabled courses. So yung sweldo ng mga yan, mula dun sa maliliit na sweldo, galing sa mga typical na trabaho, mag-lift up yan. Nung nag-digitalize sa Singapore, nag-digitalize din lahat ng kanyang mga tao, kaya yung progress niya tuloy-tuloy.
Mauwi tayo sa MSMEs kasi yun yung tinatawag nilang backbone of the economy. Ano na yung benefit para sa mga micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises? Kung sila ay makilahok dito sa super app na ito, could you tell us maybe the customer journey all throughout? How they would benefit, how they reach customers, how they earn from what they sell, a product or a service, just going through the app?
Number one, gagaan na yung mabilisan na yung processing ng kanilang mga business services, no. Dati ang hirap, may maintain kang system para sa SSS, para sa PhilHealth, para sa Pag-ibig, para sa BIR. Imagine mo, you have to maintain a database of your employee here, there. But using the eGov app, pag ginamit mo na yan, kapag nakapag-integrate na sila, isa na lang ang maintain mo. Dapat pag employer ka, negosyo ka, SME ka, pag nag-process ka ng mga mandatories mo or government responsibilities mo, isang click mo na lang, siya nang bahalang mag-distribute sa lahat ng government agencies. That's number one. Number two, pumasa na rin yung Internet Transactions Act by DTI yan. So, hindi po si DICT, si DTI. I heard na marami silang gustong gawin din sa DTI in terms of commerce play, yung electronic commerce nila, to support also the small and medium enterprises. Pag nagawa na nila yan, sa ating DTI at nagkaroon ng integration sa ating eGov platform, ang ganda niyan. Kasi mapopromote natin yung mga local products natin. Tayong Pilipino, ang galing natin mag-shopping, pero we're buying foreign products, di ba? Pera natin lumalabas din sa ibang bansa because we're buying foreign products. Pero kung maayos yung ating commerce platform, at nandyan naman na yung eGov Super App as a centralized interface for the people, hindi lang livelihood yan, pati job creation lolobo later on.
Pero unang-una yung permits. Kasi problema pa rin yun, hindi ba? I mean, coming to the local government units, meron ng e-boss program. How does that work for them? They enter the app and then they get to the AI defines that person as living in a certain community. What's the journey like? For somebody who's trying to apply for a permit, sabihin natin sa Parañaque. Doon yung kanyang place of business.
Yeah. So we have another platform called ELGU CATI. Ang DICT po ay nag-develop ng 24 platforms. But one of the biggest platform there is so-called ELGU or Electronic Local Government System. Kasama dyan yung business permit application. At good news, 820 local government agencies gumagamit na po ng ELGU. Gawa po yan ng DICT. That's half of the 1,600 LGUs nationwide. Ito po yung hindi naman kinakailangan pang pumila pa at pwede mo nang makuha yung business permit mo kahit nasa bahay ka na lang.
So it's working and it's something that you have pursued. And it also goes back to what NEDA Secretary General R.C. Balisacan said of the Digital National ID pa lang. Sabi niya, it helps advance government strategies contained in the Philippine Development Plan. And also adds na it ensures there's less leakages and that the public money goes to where it should be spent.
Mm-hmm.
Saan natin nakikita yon? Sa paggamit ng app at paggamit itong mga serbisyong na-mention mo? Mm-hmm. Down to the permitting of a business?
Well, kung organized kasi ang collection system ng government, alam nilang talaga napupunta talaga sa taxes yan, 'di ba, sa collection. Kasi pag walang governance, imagine mo kalat-kalat ang collection. Hindi mo alam kung talaga nare-remit. Totoo ba nagbabayad talaga ng taxes and so on and so forth? Nag-i-issue ba ng official receipt? May transparency reporting ba? May system ba tayo na habang nagbabayad ng government transactions dito real-time na nakikita ng gobyerno? Sa ngayon, wala yon. Okay, but if we're able to integrate all of this revenue generation ng ating bansa, ng gobyerno, at nagkaroon ng transparency, hindi lang po sa settlement, pati sa collection system, lolobo yung collection natin. Gaganda yan. At makikita natin na siyempre may mga company hindi nagbabayad, makikita mo na ngayon na hindi siya nagbabayad, so at least masisingil mo yon, di ba? May transparency So, kung wala kasing reporting at real-time or yung tinatawag na dashboard or monitoring system ng gobyerno, we don't know. We don't know kung talagang nababayan ng gusto or totoo yung mga responsibilidad. para sa gobyerno, especially for taxes. Yeah.
Gaano katagal bago natin ito maranasan lahat? Ano? It seems na marami kang dependencies kasi depende rin sa pag-integrate ng mga
Correct.
ahensya.
Yeah.
Pero meron ba kayong binigay na taning para naman makaramdam din tayo ng we know where our taxes are going?
Actually ngayon, na-overwhelm kami sa DICT sa totoo lang kasi agencies are really into digitalization. Ang BIR, ang sipag ng BIR with the leadership of ComJun, they're digitalizing also their own para mag-integrate din sila sa DICT. So sa totoo lang, sa ngayon, ang DICT, kami po yung outman ngayon. Sa totoo lang. Maraming gustong mag-integrate kasi nagkakanya-kanya ang digitalization nila at ang gaganda ng ginagawa nila. Pero kami mismo kailangan din namin ng tulong mismo sa DICT. Kulang kami sa tao din. Number 2, kulang din kami sa data centers. Paano kung dumami na itong data? Saan namin ilalagay yung data natin? Hindi naman pwedeng ilagay mo yung data sa ibang bansa. Kailangan nasa Pilipinas yung data mo to comply with the data privacy also. Saan namin kukunin yung cloud services namin? Diba? Saan namin kukunin yung maintenance namin? Pag alis namin dito, ang baba ng sweldo ng mga IT sa gobyerno, Kati. Sino ang mga highly technical people na gustong manatili sa gobyerno pag mababa ang sweldo? Diba? Kailangan maging exciting, attractive naman ang para sa mga IT professionals na magtrabaho sa gobyerno. These are the sustainability challenges. We're not sugarcoating the fact that yes, mabilis kaming gumawa ng mga e-government platforms. Yes, ang mga government agencies talagang masisipag na mag-digitalize. So napakasarap na magkaroon ng integration para magkaroon ng ease of doing business. Pero marami kami nakikita na mga what-ifs, no, na kailangan natin ding tingnan ng pansin. I think the ICT, we cannot pretend that kayang-kaya namin to. No. We need a lot of help, to be honest.
That starts with budget. Humihingi kayo ng budget, which is a 34% increase, in fact, for 2025. Anong magagawa ng 34% increase sa budget ng DICT?
Well, dahil nagpe-perform ang DICT ngayon, dahil maliit lang yung nadagdag sa kanya, pero yung digitalization kasi, Kati, ngayon lang natin na-realize na kapag nag-digitalize ka pala, billion-billion pala ang masisave mo kasi hindi na umuulit yung mga sistema. Diba? Hindi ka nabibili na napakaraming mga servers kasi marunong kami mag-optimize ng mga server. Hindi na rin kami kailangang bumili ng paulit-ulit ng mga data centers kasi kayang-kaya naming maging magaan lang yung sistema. I think yung budget, I'm not complaining, Kati, but the budget, yes, we're so thankful na nadagdagan kami ng more than 30%. But this will not actually sustain yung laki ng ginagawa ng DICT ngayon. 24 platforms yan, Kati. Digital National ID, pagsabay-sabay na gagamitin ng mga bangko na yan at lahat sa buong Pilipinas. Saan namin dadalhin yung data niyan? Number 2, cybersecurity. Diba? Ang gagaling yung minsan mga hackers, talagang nag-i-innovate. Diba? Tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang mga upskilling. Pero ang government entities, kaming nasa gobyerno, meron ba kaming upskilling? May budget ba kami para ma-train din kami? Ma-upskill din kami, yung newer technology. Kaya ang daming obsoleted, ang daming mga legacy system sa gobyerno kasi nakakalimutan yung upskilling. DICT, yes, may dagdag budget kami, but honest to goodness, makakatulong ito. Pero hindi kayang i-sustain ito ngayon sa laki ng ginagawa namin ngayon na digitalization initiatives.
But how do you address the concern? Sabi nga nila, ang DICT may history of underspending. So, papaano nyo tutugunan yung concern na baka naman ma-underutilize, bibigyan ka namin ng 34% increase pero hindi naman yung magagamit. How do you defend that?
Siyempre, nung bagong administration, nung pagdating namin, may mga documentation challenges din kami. Di ba? Pero alam nyo, last year, the same month last year, ang utilization namin 6%. Pero guess what? Ang utilization namin, the same month, 43%. 43%, from 6% to 43%. And we expect to have our own, our BUR, our utilization rate to hit around 90% before the end of the year. So nagpapasikat na kami ngayon sa paggastos, Kati. No? I think it's just process. Kailangan din namin masanay kung paano mapabilis yung proseso namin to procure hindi lang sa Wi-Fi, sa digitalization, sa upskilling, and so on and so forth. Meron din kaming adjustment sa side namin actually. Especially ang mga, nakita nyo naman, ang aming mahal na secretary, well, hindi na rin nagpapahinga yan. No? Ang problema nga dyan is, yung kailangan mong yung delegation of task, no? Kasi hindi kayang i-centralize ito. Yung delegation of task, dapat lahat gumalaw. So, ang DICT ngayon, in my own observation, talagang lahat gumagalaw ngayon. And then, rest assured that, kung ang problema lang is utilization, I think the DICT is really doing the good job now.
Nakakatuwa at nag-uusap na tayo for 40, 45 minutes and it's super lawak na, no? From the time na nakilala kita, nung ikay isang tech expert pa lang sa private sector, you set up your own IT company and created a contact tracing app na napaka-useful nung time of COVID. That was the first interview I did with you. Ano yung mga learnings mo during that time? You were still in the private sector. It was also your first engagement, kung di ako nagkakamali, with government. So you had a taste of everything you're telling me now na napakahirap. Pero ano yung parang learning na naidala mo from your private sector initiative and into government 2 years on?
Alam mo, when I was in the private, Cathy, I might be one, not bad-mouthing, but criticizing the government. Bakit mabagal? Bakit hindi kaya? Pwede namang gawin, may solution naman, di ba? Bakit ang daming complexities? Pero alam mo, when I joined the government, I shut up. You know?
You did.
Kasi now I understand the bureaucracy. I understand that you cannot just do whatever you want to do. So there's a process, okay? Because there's governance, di ba? The budget governance, kailangan napapatupad ng maayos yan. Merong audit yan, di ba? Merong verification yan kung talagang nangyayari o hindi. Diba? Because this is the money of the people, Cathy. Hindi naman to pera ng isang private. Pera ito ng mamamayan. This is taxpayers' money. We need to protect that. Diba? Make sure. Kaya ang ginagawa namin ngayon, talagang we're very keen. Every time we move, we make sure na it's worth it. At ayaw namin gumuho ito. Nung dumating kami sa DICT, nakita namin, ang dami namang ginawa in the past na mga innovation. Gumuho karamihan. Kasi nakalimutang ayusin yung pundasyon. That's why ang ginagawa ng DICT ngayon is a foundational play. No? We're focusing more on the foundation. What we do is, ano ba yung mga foundation natin? Kailangan maganda yung national ID system mo, maganda yung eKYC mo, maganda yung e-health platform mo, yung ELGU mo, yung national government mo, para everything you build on top of it, makikinabang sa foundation na yan. Kailangan solid ito. As a programmer, Cathy, sa totoo lang, hindi talaga madali. Sa totoo lang, hindi siya madali. Kasi kailangan mo ding i-explain ito, no, sa mga respective government agencies. Sa ngayon, ang dami namin nakikitang feedback na parang, naiintindihan na namin ngayon. Di ba? Ang ganda, naiintindihan na ang DICT pala, ito pala yung kanyang trabaho. No? Ang trabaho niya ay para dumali at magkaroon ng integration at interoperability yung mga iba-ibang mga government systems.
Saan pumapasok si Bill Gates dito? Kasi idolo mo siya, di ba? Sabi mo nga, he's the best IT guy. Pero ngayon, you're in government. Na-apply mo ba? The culture that you built in Microsoft.
Well, I wish...
It made you admire him.
Hindi naman natin pwedeng i-privatize ang government. But I think we can privatize some of its methods. Diba? Yung mga strategies niya. Kung magiging agile ito, at makargahan natin yung parang startup mindset na unahin natin yung mga doable. Yung mga problemang kaya naman palang solusyonan ng mga simpleng teknolohiya. Diba? Then you build from that, little by little. No? And then as we educate the people, and as people understand and appreciate na, ganito pala yun. Kapag nag-digitalize ka pala, mas madali. Diba? Hindi magastos. Nasa bahay ka lang, diba? Hindi ka na pumipila. Merong proseso to and I believe as a IT professional myself na balang araw yan, na this is our dream. Na balang araw, I hope in our generation, 'di ba, ma-express natin yung talagang ease of doing business na kapag gobyerno madali talaga ang mga proseso. But kahit man lang yung mga anak natin, yung mga susunod na henerasyon, 'di ba? Na makapagkwento na dati ganito kagulo ang gobyerno, kahirap ng proseso, pero dahil meron na tayong e-governance, ito na yung nangyari. I think that's what inspires me, and that's one thing I learned from the private, na with all of that startup failures that I had in the past, yung mga thousands of mistakes ko din, kahit pa paano na-apply ko ngayon dito sa government, yung resilience, di ba? Yung collaboration, kailangan makinig din kami. Hindi lang kami nagsasabing kaya namin to, marunong kami. We learn to listen. And we learn also from different countries. Kaya pinag-aralan namin ang Singapore, paano nila nagawa. Pinag-aralan namin ang Australia, pinag-aralan namin ang South Korea. 'di ba? So, in this note, I think we are hitting the right formula to cope up in terms of digitalization here in the Philippines.
Sa mga digital natives na nakikinig, na-mention mo nga, no, the young, ito yung mga talagang siguro lumaki na silang may letter E na prefixed yung word. E-governance, e-app. Ano yung masasabi mo sa kanilang abiso or gabay? Maybe naisip nila, napakinggan nila to, yung journey mo, no, from private to government. What would you tell them?
Well, nagsimula ako sa walang-wala. You know, ang tatay ko at nanay ko talagang we came as we are farmers. No? But I think we're moving into a digital era. Di ba? Mga emerging technologies, no? IoT, AI, 5G or 6G. I think if we're able to shift that mindset na matuto yung mga bagong henerasyon sa ating digital na era, I think we're able to prepare the Philippines. Hindi lang ito digitally empowered nation, but also mga tao na ang kanilang hanap buhay ay galing sa digital. Magandang sweldo, mataas ang sweldo. At syempre, ang encouragement ko din, mangarap din tayo para sa bayan. No? Alam mo, bibihira ang mga patriots na mga IT na mag-join sa government kasi mababa ang sweldo, Kati, di ba? But that's why I salute all the IT professionals, especially ito yung mga nag-join din sa akin na talagang kalahati ng sweldo nila sinacrifice na bumabang para lang magsilbi sa bayan. No? And I do hope that this administration were able also to hopefully ma-approve din yung bagong batas, yung e-governance bill na sa Senate. Ano na yan? One of the provision there, Cathy, ay tumaas ang sweldo ng mga IT professionals all throughout government agencies, hindi lang DICT. If that will happen, I think meron tayong tsansa na maka-cope up naman tayo sa digitalization competition, kumbaga, in a global scale.
Dapat isama na rin nila yung sahod ng Avengers, ano? May naidala ka bang Avengers na collection mo sa DICT? Being a very avid collector.
Isa lang ang nadala ko, nakapagdala ako ng yung nanotechnology na teacher.
Ni Iron Man.
Iron Man, siya yung nasa office ko ngayon sa DICT.
Very good. And you go by the name of Iron Man, if I'm not mistaken.
It's just a code name in the past when I was starting. Yeah.
All right, so there's another I in DICT, and that I is your favorite Marvel superhero. Thank you so much for sharing what you have. It's difficult to talk about because it's new, but you gave it some color and context, so appreciate it.
Thank you, Cathy.
Good luck.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch us again next Thursday at 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time on One News. You can also check out the long conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so, like or follow my social media pages. I'm Cathy Yang, and this is Thought Leaders.